Morning, everybody. My question for you today is, are you starting strong? Our verses are Ephesians 6:10 through 12. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. How are you ending 2019? Are you going to start 2020 strong? We are in a battle and we need to be prepared for it, not pretending that nothing's going on. This battle can happen in any area of our lives and sometimes more than one at the same time. This is about more than just the mental and the spiritual. If you are unwell due to not taking care of yourself, the devil could be trying to sideline you. What could that look like for you right now? It could be, eating too much sugar, even though you know you don't feel very good afterwards. Or maybe it's staying up too late, trying to get just one more thing done or one more movie watched. This can also just completely deep six your immune system, which is the last thing you need right now. Part of entering 2020 strong is taking care of yourself right now. We will have more on this as we continue to approach the end of the year. And I've been giving you kind of some safer comfort food, shall we say. We've been doing variations on pizza the last few weeks. And today we're going to take that zucchini crust that I made last week, and which, if you need the recipe for that, look at last week's video. It's on that one. And so that's our starting point for this week. It has not been in the refrigerator that whole time. It's been actually in the freezer. I did that to make sure that I didn't have to make this multiple times, so that I'd have one for you for this week. And it's not actually very complicated. And the crust was probably more complicated than topping the crust, obviously. But one of my favorite pizzas has always been mushroom and olive. That's always been the top favorite thing for me. Grab a spoon here. And however, I never really liked the tomato sauce, and as I've gotten older, it's just not done well on my stomach, even more than it did when I was younger. And dairy doesn't always do real great either, and obviously grains. So we're doing a variation on, trust me, it actually tastes awesome in spite of that. So this is going to be a mushroom olive pizza. We're starting with the zucchini pizza crust. And then I'm going to put on this, and I'm going to flip the camera down so you can actually see what I'm doing here. But we're going to start with 2 to 4 tablespoons of parsley pesto, which this doesn't even have any sweet basil in it. You can do some that's partially sweet basil or has a little bit of sweet basil, but this is basically olive oil and basil, which I've also got Facebook Lives where I showed making different alternative pestos. So I'm just taking the whole thing. Last time we did this with primarily arugula with a little basil in it and a little bit of sweet basil leaves. This time I'm going to just use the basil. I would have got it probably a little finer if I was making a little bit bigger batch. It was hard to get it where the blades were on the Cuisinart when I was blending this up. But just kind of trying to spread this around a little bit. Get the excess parsley off of there as much as I can. Come on. There we go. Got the big leaf off the backside. Okay, so then I'm going to take mushrooms, which I already sliced up, a bunch of mushrooms here. And mushrooms are so symmetrical, I like to place them in an orderly fashion here. And I don't necessarily try to get them all that orderly, but kind of the first row is kind of your frame for the rest of it. So stuck together a little bit there. And you could go with that, but I'm going to. Hey, the bowl's empty. A dog trying to lick the metal bowl has already been cleaned out. Okay, so I'm just kind of covering up places that are where I can see the pesto the most. Just trying to. It's empty. It's going to stay empty right now. The okay, so getting all of that on there. Oh, quit it! You're noisy. Stop it. She already ate food 10 minutes ago, but she's bound and determined that. Okay, so now we're putting the black olives, spreading those out even. And because this is morning, I'm not actually going to cook this yet. I'm going to cook this evening, or you could do it for lunch. Spacing stuff out here a little bit. I've found that there are people that absolutely love olives and people that hate olives. I would be in the love olives camp. Mushroom there. Okay, so we got most of the stuff on here. And now I'm sprinkling some almond cheese on top. And of course, it doesn't do any good to have it on the parchment paper underneath the pizza. Shift it back up onto the pizza itself. Trying to get all of it up onto the pizza crust itself. Looks pretty good, so I'll probably go with that. All right, so there's our raw, uncooked, not the crust, of course, but pizza. And you're going to want to take your oven and preheat it for 425. And obviously you do want to get it completely hot before putting it in there. Definitely make sure you're putting the crust on a parchment paper. That helps keep it from sticking to your pan. And if you're using some aluminum cookware, that also protects you from getting all the aluminum absorbed into you. But just top and bake for 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your oven. And you're going to look for the cheese on top getting melted, and and it's starting to get maybe slightly brown. Then you're probably good. And obviously you can go by smell a little bit too. But go ahead and then let this cool for a few minutes before serving, and you are all set. So come back next week for another verse, and we'll be actually continuing the same passage and another recipe. So I will see you next week.